At the beginning of the offseason, he was like the wide receiver 15 overall. Like he was above guys like Ayuk. He was above Zay Flowers, Jordan Addison, JSN.
Hello and welcome to another edition of Fantasy Football Freaks. I'm Jason. He's Vaz. And today we have some more guys that we believe you have to get right now for your Dynasty Fantasy Football Leagues. We've talked about a couple of these guys before, but Vaz, you want to really stress that these guys are undervalued and you need to be adding these guys to your team in some way, shape, or form, whether it be a startup draft, maybe through trade, whatever it be. Grab these guys right now because they're just valued too low in terms of the community. Any other preface you want to make before we get started into your players?
Yeah, absolutely. So listen, now is not the best time to buy. I think now is probably the best time to sell. It's like a seller's market right now. People want to see their starting lineups filled out nicely. They want to, get their rosterbation going, like that kind of stuff. So I think it's not the best time to buy. But that being said, the guys I'm mentioning today, I think are buys at the moment because they have a high chance to increase in value very quickly. So I think these three guys, you want to go out and get them now if you can.
All right, then without any further ado, who's the first guy you want to talk about today?
Okay, the first guy I want to talk about is, as you mentioned, a guy we've discussed in the past, and it's Rashee Rice. So I expected his value to go up, as the offseason went on, like the news of the offseason got past him a little bit, but his value hasn't increased, and I think it's because I think the reason is that we don't know the length of his suspension yet. I think it's one of those cases where the moment we do find out how long he will be suspended, even if it's like 3 games, 4 games, I don't expect it to be that long, but even if it were, I think his value would increase. Just as soon as there's like a firm timetable that we're all aware of, I think his value will go up. So I think now with the uncertainty around him, I think now is the time to buy. And I understand that they added Xavier Worthy, so there is some more target competition, but I still think he's the best player on their team, the best receiver on their team. So I still think, right now, actually, according to the community, he's the third most valuable pass catcher on the team, even behind Travis Kelce. I can understand ranking Xavier Worthy ahead of him, but having Travis Kelce there makes no sense in my mind. I mean, he's a decade younger, and he outproduced Travis Kelce last year. So I still expect him to be the leading receiver on a points per game basis for the Kansas City Chiefs. So I think now is the time to go out and buy if you can.
A lot of times with players, as a fan of a team, sometimes you can talk about how a player has a bad attitude, and sometimes you kind of are concerned about his future contributions because of that. But when it comes to fantasy, it's about the numbers, right?
Right.
And you kind of throw those out the window unless it's become something so big that, like, I mean, God forbid, like a Henry Ruggs situation or things like that. But we're talking about a guy who's made some mistakes this offseason. It's been brought into the limelight because things weren't as big at the moment, right? It was in the off season and stuff, so it's got a lot of attention. But at the same time, I think the big thing is he going to play? And it seems like it's not going to be like a career-ending type of a thing. It's just a matter of how much action Izzy gets. So, in terms of let's get rid of any suspensions whatsoever. What would he be worth, let's say, going into next season, right? So let's say you're rebuilding and you pick up a guy like this. It's not like his value is going to be down next season compared to what it is right now, right? Like you're going to expect that his value is higher next season than it is this season.
Absolutely. So at the beginning of the offseason, he was like the wide receiver 15 overall. Like he was above guys like Ayuk. He was above Zay Flowers, Jordan Addison, JSN, T. Higgins, all these guys. And now he's like so far down below them. I think he's in the wide receiver 35 range or something. Like as I said, he's even worth less than Travis Kelce, which is just mind boggling to me. So yeah, I think like it's so easy for him to increase in value. The moment he steps on the field and shows the chemistry with Patrick Mahomes, he's going to increase in value because he's going to give you fantasy production. Right now, he's in the same tier on Keep Trade Cut as Mike Evans, who's 31 years old. And I firmly believe that Rashee Rice is going to be more productive than Mike Evans next season, or like on a per game basis. I should mention, but Like if you can get if they're valued at the same in the same range and he's 10 years younger, it just doesn't make sense to me. So I think like talent wise, he's worth much more, but because solely because of the offseason issues, because of the off the field issues, he's down so far in the community's mind. And I think it's time to move him back up because as soon as he produces on the field, he's going to move back up.
If you're a rebuilding team, then he seems like a no-brainer of a guy to want to go after. Even in one of the teams that I'm rebuilding, he was a guy that I targeted unsuccessfully. But if you're going for it, if you have a competing team and you're trying to win this year, does it matter if he's a guy that ends up getting 3, 4, 6 games of a suspension? Is that a guy that you still want as a competing team for this season?
Yeah, absolutely. Because like more than likely he's not going to be suspended for the playoffs. So he's a guy you can target on all of your dynasty teams. I don't think you have to be worried about that whatsoever. Yeah, I wouldn't worry. Like rebuilder, I'm going after him. Like competing roster, I'm going after him. It's just like it just value wise, he's too cheap right now. And I will say that it's possible that like in your league, if somebody's already traded for him this offseason, he might be like it might not be possible to grab him. But if your league has been a little bit dormant and he's been on the same roster all offseason, I would definitely send out an offer because it's you don't know how that owner feels about him. So just like be aware of like what roster he's on in your league and send out a message if he's been on that roster all offseason.
Okay. Let's take a look at the next guy that you are high on or the community is too low on.
Yeah. Okay. So the next guy is another guy that won't surprise anybody, and that's TJ Hockenson, my tight end 2 overall. And he's like the clear like tight end 8 according to the community, I think right now. Like he's so far down in the rankings. And like the answer is so obvious in my mind. He's probably not going to start the season. So he's lower in the community's eyes solely because he's not going to give you immediate fantasy production. But listen, this guy is like incredibly talented. He's young, incredibly young. Uh, he's got like tight end 1 overall upside on a points per game basis. So now is the time to buy because the moment he's healthy and steps back on the field, he's going to increase in value. So this is the kind of like an injury discount, similar to Rashee Rice, who you're getting at like a, I don't know, an idiot discount. This is an injury discount, right? So similar situation here. I'm buying guys that I'm getting at a discount because of other issues, not their production, not their talent, not their situation. So I'm going after TJ Hockenson right now. You can get him for like he's in the same range as guys like Keon Coleman. He's in the same range as guys like, I don't know, they could pay up a little bit more than Devontae Adams to grab him. Like I think you could trade. I think he's worth less than James Cook, who I really don't like. So if you can maybe like target a team that has a need at running back and maybe trade away like a James Cook or a Rashad White and grab yourself an elite tight end, I love that. I love that idea.
When the community is looking at him, like you mentioned, they've got him like 7, 8 on the rankings. Like most of the guys, if not everyone above him, are younger than him. So it clearly seems like, there's like this wave of top talented young tight ends. You mentioned that it's not like he's old. It's not like he's 30 or 28 even. I mean, he's got some years ahead of him. He's had the injury issue that, as you mentioned, he might not start the league. Also, in terms of quarterback uncertainty, Cousins has been replaced by
Yeah.
either JJ McCarthy or Darnold. So there've been like sort of a gamut of things that have negatively affected his value. But in the big picture of things, let's say once again, let's go to the end of this season or start of next season. What does he have to do? What kind of a season does he have to end up as the tight end 2 going into next season? What has to happen this year for him to achieve that?
Okay, well, here's the beautiful thing. Right now, as I said, he's like the tight end 7 or 8. He's pretty considerably further down than even Mark Andrews, who's 2.5 years older than him. And I don't see his value decreasing. There's no potential for it to decrease. Like he's 26 years old. He's going to give you elite production when he's on the field, right? So it can only go up, and that's why he's a buy for me at this moment. As I said at the beginning, like it's not a great time to buy, but TJ Hockenson, because of the injury, it's a good time to buy. And his value will surely go up, and I think it could skyrocket if JJ McCarthy turns out to be a great quarterback. Like if he turns out to be very productive and then like Minnesota scores a lot of points, then yeah, his value will go way up because he's only 26 and he has that immense upside. So his value has potential to go way up, like above even, like guys like Kincaid and Pitts who haven't done it yet, right? So I could definitely see him being worth more than them at this point next offseason very easily. Just needs to get on the field and produce. And I don't see it going down. So that's the reason he's a buy.
Yeah. And clearly, I mean, a guy like Travis Kelce, as an example, I mean, obviously he's a bit of an anomaly, but he's been tight end one in Dynasty in, his 30s, right? So
Yeah.
certainly Hockenson's only 26, as you mentioned. So it's not like he's too old or anywhere near that to ever have the possibility of becoming a tight end one, right?
Yeah, no, like TJ Hockenson probably would have been the tight end one last year if he stayed healthy. And 26 is very young for tight end, so it's not an issue. I think if you're a rebuilding team, maybe you don't target TJ Hockenson because I mean this is for a team that's looking for an elite tight end. If you're a team that's competing and you don't have an elite tight end, I think he's an excellent buy. If you're a rebuilder, he's probably not a great buy, even though he's probably going to increase in value. He's going to give you the production, and I don't really think like 26 is not really the age you want to be buying if you're rebuilding. But for a competing roster, I love buying TJ Hockenson.
But I mean, if you can get him at that value as a rebuilding team, I mean, even just to buy now because
Yeah.
he's valued low, but then let's say midway through the season, he ends up being on a points per game basis a top 2 or 3 tight end, and you're able to sell him at the trading deadline for more than you paid for him. I guess that could be a possibility as well.
Yeah, no doubt. Like, of course, if you feel like playing the stock market, go ahead. I'm just like, I just, I think he's better off for your competing rosters rather than your rebuilding. Like, if you can target a younger tight end for a rebuilding roster, I'd prefer that. But yeah, I mean, like as you said, it's a great time to buy because his value is so low. So yeah, even if you want to buy to sell later, why not?
Yeah. I mean, if you're a rebuilding team, I'm not saying go and, trade a first round and a second round pick to get him so you can trade him for more late. Like that's sort of a play. But I'm just saying,
Yeah,
let's say you've got
yeah,
an
yeah,
older guy like a Mike Evans,
yeah.
and something to get him, and you're able to, you're not using your veteran player that you're giving up to get him anyways, and then you can get
Right.
something for him after
Yeah,
later
I
on,
like that idea. Like
just
if
as an
if
example.
you're using a Josh Jacobs or a James Cook, maybe like a running back you don't think is going to produce for much longer. Yeah, I really like that because I think TJ Hawkinson is going to increase in value and he's going to hold that value for the next 3 or 4 years, whereas those running backs are probably going to start decreasing in value pretty quickly. So I
Yeah.
do like that idea.
Now, I can't do it for you. The inches we need are everywhere around us. What are you gonna do? Like! Like! Subscribe! 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 Subscribe!
There's the third guy that you are buying right now.
The third guy I'm buying is going to be an interesting one, and I'm not sure if you'll like it or not, but it's Justin Fields. So the reason I think you won't like it is because in our previous video where you had your hot takes, you thought that Russ was going to play the entire season. But listen, I think it's very likely. Not I won't say very likely, but there's a strong potential that Justin Fields does see the field at some point this season. And I'm not saying that because I think Russell Wilson is bad. I actually really like Russell Wilson. I just think that the weapons around him aren't so great. Like maybe like Frymouth is their best is their best option. Like I don't really believe in George Pickens, and I don't think that's a great 1-2 punch. So I think Russ is at the point of his career where he needs good playmakers around him to produce. I don't think he's going to make the team better. I think he's going to be like a facilitator, like a point guard in basketball, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Game manager.
and a game manager, right? So I just think that it's possible Justin Fields gives that team the best chance to win with like his ability to like do it by himself. I think they might need that from time to time. So I could see him getting an opportunity, and I think he's the type of player that the moment he gets that opportunity, the moment he has one solid game, he's going to shoot up in value because we've seen him produce like league winning numbers, right? And at the moment, he's valued at a late second round pick, which is super, super low. Like even when he had like the terrible beginning of the offseason and was traded for a 6th round pick, at that stage, he was valued at around a high second round pick. So he's continued to decline in value in the community's eyes. So I suggested going on and buying him then And I mean, his value's only gotten down since. So I think now is a great time to go out and buy. If you could use a player on your roster that's going to give you production now, but maybe like a bench type player that another guy could use to fill out their roster, go out and grab Justin Fields while he's cheap because he's got immense potential to increase in value.
Yeah. You know, like what Fields reminds me of is let's go back, say, about 5 years ago. And when Cam Newton was at the end of his career and he was just trying to get playing time. And whenever like there was any sort of a murmur of him going to a team, and his trade stock would go up and everybody would go after him on certain teams and stuff, and you get offers. And then when he got into a game, then it was kind of too late to get him at that point. I'm not saying that obviously Fields is a lot younger and his value is higher, but I'm just saying in terms of like the wave of his value, how it goes up and down and up and down. It reminds me of like Cam Newton after his injury issues. Where
I remember that because we had all seen what Cam Newton had been.
Yeah.
And like everyone wanted to buy that potential, right? But then when he finally came back with the Patriots, we all saw that like he had a noodle arm and he couldn't run anymore. So, but that's not Justin Fields. I know you're not comparing him, like his skill set, just the situation. Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, and just in terms of the wave of, if he does start, then by that point, it probably will be too late for anybody to go get him. Might cost you a first-round pick by then. All right. Anything else you want to talk about with any of these three guys?
No, I'll just say again that like it's probably a seller's market right now. So now more than any other time, like try to sell guys if you can. Like sell some veterans that you don't necessarily need and pick up these like, if you can pick up these guys that will increase in value. I think all three of the guys I mentioned, Justin Fields, Rashee Rice, TJ Hockenson, will all increase in value very quickly. Rashee Rice will increase in value as soon as we know the length of his suspension or, the moment he starts. TJ Hockenson will immediately increase in value the moment he steps on the field and gives you some production. And then Justin Fields might take a bit longer, but the upside is much higher as well. Because if he ever steps on the field and gets a starting opportunity, he's going to be worth a ton more. So I really like buying all three of these guys.
Yeah, certainly will be just a matter of time, like you mentioned. All right, there you have it. Remember to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you next time on another edition of Fantasy Football Freaks.